What's up, and welcome to Nighttime at the Nerd Bar, episode 86. Bringing you that Monday energy. Woo! Right?
Yep.
How you know?
Yep.
Exciting.
The biggest of Monday energy.
Yes.
Oh boy, oh buddy, oh boy.
Yes. But we are all here for you all. And if you're watching us live, join us in the live chat. And if you're watching later, no worries, comment down below. And hello, I'm Carrie Lane.
And I'm Katie Cullen.
And I'm still in the middle of moving, thus boxes and things. Bought new stuff because, it's a good excuse to replace things and update stuff. Or, hey, that's really old and probably expired. You should throw it away.
Yeah, that is how moving do. And I'm belatedly celebrating Undertale's 8th anniversary with my Napstablook shirt.
Nice. I was like, wait,
8
hold on.
years, man.
There you go.
Yep. Good old Blukey. We love him.
Yeah. I have... it was a Dolly exhibit in Florida I went to years ago. So I was like, yes, not that you can see this position, but yeah. We have some anime, manga, geeky news for you at the top of the show. We got Overwatch news. We'll be getting into Reign of the Seven Spellblades, the current episode that just aired. And then we'll also have other recommendations for you at the end of the show. So stick around for all of that. All of it will be indicated by this lovely bar right here. So in case that's something you're more excited about or not, easy way to keep track.
Keep an eye on the lower thirds. We have a rotating one for a reason.
Yay!
That is to let you know what's going on.
So let's get started with our news, which is things we're excited about. Yay!
Yes. Let us start with the for the manga fans in the audience. We have a press release from Ablaze. They're ending 2023 on a strong note and releasing a number of graphic novels in December. We have The All, Volume 1, for those of you who are interested in real-life inspired stories, a moving and socially conscious series about the struggles of workers at an oppressive Korean big box superstore as they strive for better lives and working conditions. And it's evidently a recipient of the Korean Cartoon of Today prize. For those of you who are doing continuing series with Ablaze, we have Volume 2 of Zombie Makeout Club, as well as Volume 2 of Gannibal, The Agent, and The Prism, and the TP edition of Traveling to Mars, an Eisner Award-nominated sci-fi adventure. So we have all sorts of fun stuff coming down the line of all different genres. So keep an eye out for releases from Ablaze, because regardless of what genre you're into, they're going to have something for you this holiday season.
All right. And speaking of things for this holiday season and beyond, the Studio Ghibli Fest is still happening. If you have not been able to catch a film, we have Howl's Moving Castle coming up next, and then, which is the end of this month. I'm like, let me make this image a little bit bigger for myself. I'm like, there we go. Howl's Moving Castle will be the end of September. So check your ghiblifest.com. That's GHIBLI fest.com for more specific details. And then after that is Spirited Away to close things out into November 1st. So you still have a couple more chances to catch Studio Ghibli film in theaters. And again, check out ghiblifest.com or fathomevents.com as well.
I feel like Spirited Away is such a good one to have, like, over Halloween, over All Hallows Eve and Samhain as we start going into the winter. Just like that particular season, and then working with a movie that's about crossing over realms. Like, I know we're working with two very different cultures and two very different ideas of realms and spirits and whatnot, but same vibe, It's a good vibe. It's good. And I mean, excellent movie, of course.
Yes.
Continuing on, for the My Hero Academia fans in the audience, and for people who love physical releases of their media, and guys, it is important to have physical releases of your media, full stop. We've seen that recently. But for those of you who are loving physical releases for your media, we have Crunchyroll bringing all sorts of fun stuff also this holiday season to home video. We have the first part of My Hero Academia Season 6 on DVD and Blu-ray, and that includes the Season 4 OVA Make It Do or Die Survival Training, promo videos, opening and ending songs without the text, all of that really fun stuff. We have a couple of Cuckoos, both season 1, part 2. We have full season of I'm the Villainous, so I'm Taming the Final Boss. We have the collection 33 for One Piece. So for those of you who are building your One Piece collection DVD by DVD or Blu-ray by Blu-ray, keep an eye out in December. And we have Eureka 7 High Evolution Movie 3 dropping in December as well. So you can pre-order these, check them out on the Crunchyroll site. And again, if you have a gift-giving holiday coming up, pre-order these, print out a picture, and then wrap the picture or put the picture in the card, because some of these are releasing after most gift-giving holidays. But if they don't arrive before the holiday of choice, you can always give them the picture and be like, this is in the mail for you. It's coming. I've got you covered. It is a great gift-giving trick, and I will be doing it myself this week for my roommate's birthday.
Yay! Yeah, no, I feel that's one of those that it seems so obvious, and then, but you wouldn't necessarily think of it. It's like, oh, that is brilliant, because then at least you have a thing, the person gets a thing, and then they get the excitement that something else is arriving later on. So
yeah, it's like, and it's not just like, oh, it's a surprise. It's like, no, this is what it is. Keep an eye in the mail. It's just your birthday or this particular celebration is before the release date.
Yes. And then where is it? Okay, another Crunchyroll announcement. We have Crunchyroll is inviting you to Sasaki and Miyano's graduation. And that will start airing on September 28th at 5 p.m. Pacific. So that is you can check that out over on Crunchyroll, and you can watch the trailer there as well. And we'll post a link to that. And there it is.
Yeah.
I was like, where is it?
I was ready to pick up with our final announcement.
Yes, I shifted things around a little bit. But yeah, Miyano's world of boys love manga turns into reality when a chance leads him to Sasaki. And now Sasaki wants to spend every opportunity with him. So I was like, oh, that sounds cute. So that's coming, again, Crunchyroll on the 28th.
Yes. All right. And once more with feeling from Crunchyroll, for those of you attending New York Comic Con, Crunchyroll is hosting a world premiere screening of My Hero Academia Season 6 original episode UA Heroes Battle at New York Comic Con, which this panel looks like will be on October 13th. So for the My Hero fans, for those who want to watch a new episode, if you're attending New York Comic Con, mark your calendars, make sure you put it on your panel schedule. And if New York Comic Con does a lineup early and camp and panels things, maybe do that, because My Hero Academia, y'all. So keep an eye out for that one. The panel is on Friday, October 13th at 5 p.m. Eastern at the Empire Stage. You are muted still.
I'm muted because I was drinking my water and I was trying to move my chair and then I got stuck. It's all the things.
It's everything.
Yes. So the other thing I was going to say is be sure to check us out over on Twitter, NTATNB. We'll post, we generally post links or photos to the different things we talk about during this section. So be sure to follow us on there. And if you haven't already, make sure to follow here on the Fanversation channel and subscribe so you don't miss videos. And on social media, we have TikTok videos and Instagram, like behind the scenes of recent events and such, and lots of voice actor interviews here on this channel.
Yeah.
And then one other bit of news. I feel this could have gone with the manga section, but still, we want to bring you more manga options. And so Azuki adds over 350 new volumes from 77 Kodansha manga series, including Fire Force, A Silent Voice, Kiss Him Not Me, Princess Jellyfish, Attack on Titan, and Eden's Zero. And you can check these and more. So fans will be able to purchase these volumes at the Azuki website. Let me just double check I got the name. Yeah, if you do azuki.co, you can check out the website and see what manga is there available. And also, you can read on the web, OIS, and Android apps. And if you are a premium member, you can get a discount of 20% on all volumes as part of the subscription. So you can go check out more information over on Azuki's website. That's AZUKI.
Digital manga. All right.
Yes. All right. I was like, ooh, my
All
lights
right.
are bright
Okay.
too.
We're all just like, ooh.
We got this. All right. Are we ready for Overwatch?
Yeah, this is when I sit here and talk for 20 minutes. Let's go. So, we have 3 things to talk about today. We have the bracket, we have storylines, and we have what is shaping up to be the playoffs curse. And they all kind of work with each other. So, let's start with the playoffs curse in that if you're not working with technicalities, there is a technicality here. No hosting team has ever attended playoffs in their own city. Over 6 seasons of Overwatch League, none of them have ever made it. Season 1, it was held at the Barclays Center in New York. The New York Excelsior had a banger first stage and then fell off and did not qualify. Season 2, it was held in Philadelphia. The Philadelphia Fusion came in 11th that year when they had to get 8th or higher in order to make the playoffs. Seasons 3 and 4 is where we get into technicalities. They were held online because it was in 2020 and 2021, respectively. In 2020, and this is where the technicality is, they took the 2 topmost performing teams in the North America region and flew them to Seoul to be able to play on LAN with the 2 topmost performing teams in the APAC region. Technically, however, this is considered an online tournament. It was not hosted by Seoul. There weren't fans in attendance, etc. The Seoul Dynasty did compete in this tournament and came in 2nd place. They were the runner-up to the San Francisco Shock, who were clinching their back-to-back championship season. So technically, Seoul was able to attend the playoffs in Seoul. However, they were considered online playoffs, and Seoul was not a hosting city. So doesn't quite count. Season 4, hosted online. We flew the competing teams to Hawaii to be able to not have to worry about lag when playing against APAC teams. This was the season that the Shanghai Dragons took. Last year, season 5 was hosted in Anaheim, which has no hosting team, no associated team. The Los Angeles teams don't count. Anaheim is too far of a drive away for that to count. The only team that Anaheim gets to take from Los Angeles is the Angels. The Angels of Anaheim. Baseball jokes. This upcoming season, season 6, next weekend, the playoffs and the championship match are going to be held in Toronto. The Toronto Defiant lost their match to the London Spitfire yesterday and will not be in attendance. So far, it's been a curse. No team that has hosted the playoffs in their city has actually competed in the playoffs, and Toronto's come closer than any of them. We had absolutely fantastic matches this weekend, and the lower bracket matches on Sunday were honestly anyone's game. I'm a little sad that Toronto did not make it, because the Boston Uprising clinched the winner's bracket match at the end of a very hotly contested map 5, which could have gone either way multiple times. Like, the Toronto Defiant had a fantastic grasp of the meta and incredible teamwork. The thing about Boston, though, that cannot be discounted, and I've said this all season, is that they have a lineup of nothing but experienced players. And all of their players have that absolutely buckwild clutch potential where the paddle can be going wrong and they will just pull a victory out of nowhere. And that is how they took that last spot. If you watch this game, if you watch this map 5, it looks 3 separate times like, oh, if the Toronto Defiant win this fight, they win the match. And they're winning it, and they're winning it. And then Birdring rolls in on the Bastion and suddenly flips the whole thing on its head. And that's not necessarily, oh, well, you can always win on a Bastion. You can't do that anymore. You can do that in Bronze, maybe, but not at this level. It's a testament to Birdring's ability to flip things around, to Decay's ability to flip things around. They are all of them capable of the Fleta deadlift. They have all of them done it more than once. And again, Boston has an extremely stacked lineup this year. So they clinched one of the play-in seeds. And in the lower bracket, it was a free-for-all between the Vancouver Titans, the London Spitfire, and the Toronto Defiant. And London took out both Canadian teams in back-to-back matches, which is not an easy thing to do, and got themselves the last play-in spot from NA. So London will be going up to Toronto, sending Toronto home to Toronto, but not to play. And this is where things get really fun because, as we've said before, the meta has not solidified. There's not, if you play, like, this is the team comp that wins and everything else is like, well, good luck with that. There are so many different team comps that work. And we have not seen our topmost NA teams really play in this meta all that much because Florida and Houston and Atlanta have just been off these past couple weeks, watching the play-ins happen, watching other people's strategy, picking up tips, and practicing and scrimming on their own. So we're going to get to see them play next week. And this is where things get fun because the higher seeded teams got to pick the bracket, as it were. So our matches starting September 28th next week. And this is going to be one of those things where they mostly play during the weekdays and then the finals matches on Sunday. We have the Hangzhou Spark, the top-seeded APAC team, versus the Atlanta Reign, the top-seeded NA team. So we are immediately starting off the bracket matches with the best of the best from both regions, both of whom were picked last. So everyone was like, yeah, we don't want to face them. Like, great, we'll pit them against each other. It's going to be great. We then have the Boston Uprising versus the London Spitfire, which we've seen this match more than once, and they are both more than capable of pulling it off, especially since London loves to play this completely crazy Rhine meta. So that's going to be a banger match. We have the Dallas Fuel versus the Seoul Infernal. So we are having a hoedown, showdown, throwdown from the APAC region. And again, we've seen them throw down. The Dallas Fuel have really upped their game recently, which is why they're here, because they nabbed the one play-in bracket seed. And then, and this is the match that's going to hurt me, we have the Houston Outlaws versus the Florida Mayhem. And in the bracket picking, this was the first match that was solidified. So this is the number 2 NA team versus the number 3 NA team. And we've seen them throw down with each other before. It always goes to a map 5. It's always crazy. And this is where I want to get into storylines, because at this point in the series, as it were, Overwatch League being an anime, us being in season 6, at this point, everyone's got a story from the top. The Hangzhou Spark started off strong when they rolled in season 2. Everyone was thrilled to have a pink team, not gonna lie. Had some player issues and have been a middling at best team for a hot minute. This has been, I don't think it's been their first, last year they made it onto the bracket, but they didn't make it onto the podium. This year they are in a much better spot to take the whole thing. This is not their first time going to the playoffs. It is their first time going in as the number 1 ranked seed. The Atlanta Reign have been always the bridesmaid, never the bride for up until this season. They got into so many quarter season and mid-season tournaments and would go all the way, make it up to second or third or second place, and then get axed from the competition. This season, they took the mid-season madness. It was almost no competition, and that hurts me to say because they beat the Outlaws to take it, and they beat the Outlaws twice in a row to take it. So that was rough. But this is the best that Atlanta Reign has ever been poised to take a championship after so many near misses since they debuted in season 2. The Boston Uprising were the first team to have a perfect stage, all wins, 0 losses. And this was in season 1. And again, they've been having a really rough time since then. They have been a bottom-most or middling team for a good long while. And now here they are with this absolutely stacked roster gunning for this title that they have never managed. The London Spitfire were the season 1 champions. Completely different lineup, completely different game, but they were the very first Overwatch League champions. And their hype video has a custom song about here we go to rebuild our legacy, and that is what they want to do. They are playing a Reinhardt meta that nobody else plays. They are going in with teams that are starting to figure out how to handle them, but London Spitfire knows what they're doing, and they frankly play an amazing psychological game in chat. It is hysterical watching them go in match chat. It's an intimidation tactic, and it works wonders. So they have a chance. Dallas Fuel are last year's champions. They want to do back-to-back like the San Francisco Shock managed in seasons 2 and 3. And they've been again, they had a really rough season coming in. They moved to APAC. They had a different lineup, and they've really pulled it together. So for them, this is a back-to-back championship on the line. The Seoul Infernal, we're throwing back to the Philadelphia Fusion days. Because again, this is a team in its history. They've managed some mid-season tournaments. They've managed to be fairly good, but they either don't make it to the championships or they make it pretty far and then they get axed. In season 3, they and the San Francisco Shock were the 2 topmost NA performing teams to be brought to Seoul for the championship. And then Philly, I don't remember if Philly was 3rd or 4th place, but they did not make it much further. So new name, new branding, looking for a championship. The Outlaws and the Mayhem, bless them. We go back to season 1, and we talked about this a little bit before, but at the end of season 1, we had what we called the stoplight teams, because in very last place, we had the Shanghai Dragons, who had a 0-30 completely winless season. And up until the Vegas Eternal this season, they were the only team to ever go completely winless. And they had a lot of opportunities for that not to be the case. Down at the bottom in red. Right above them in yellow, before they figured out that the Miami Vice rebrand was the way to go, was the Florida Mayhem. And above them in green was the Houston Outlaws. So in dead last, we had the stoplight team. The Shanghai Dragons, not in the play-ins this year, but they have a championship title under their belt from season 4. The Florida Mayhem made it to competition last year, made it to competition this year, have gone from one of the losingest teams to one of the winningest. They have shed a terrible manager in favor of an incredible one. They've shed a terrible color scheme in favor of an incredible one. Florida Mayhem has improved in leaps and bounds, and they look incredible this year.
They are one of the color scheme.
Their terrible color scheme was red and yellow. It looked like McDonald's. Okay, it was mostly yellow with red accents, like that's same fair. Logo, the bomb with the M in it. Like the logo design itself is fantastic for the Florida Mayhem, but yellow jersey with red M, it looked like McDonald's. It was so bad.
I was just curious. I'm like, what designates an awful color? But
it was terrible.
Yeah, that's fair.
And then season 2, they started doing, for a lot of the teams, they were given the opportunity to design alternate color jerseys or alternate design jerseys. I have the Gladiators one. It was done with sugar skull motifs. It was done by a local Los Angeles artist, and it's absolutely beautiful. Some of them look great. Some of them were like, well, this is an option, different color schemes. Multiple teams opted for all black for some ungodly reason. And the Florida Mayhem went, let's do a Miami Vice color scheme. And they had black with hot pink and neon blue accents. And it was incredible. And at the beginning of season 3, they're like, so what if we rebrand with the good colors? And everyone went, thank you. Which is also when Valiant went, what if we rebrand with the bad colors? And everyone went, why? No respect for the Valiant rebranding. None. They went from a beautiful forest green and gold to UCLA light blue and yellow. It's like, why would you do that? We already had 2 light blue teams. Stop it. Whatever. Anyway. And of course, the team I love, the Houston Outlaws, we made it to the podium last year, which is the best they've looked pretty much ever until this season rolls around. And like I said last year, this team has been cursed from the get-go. This is a team that started with, they lost their management, they lost their ownership, they had peripheral ownership and 0 budget for a while, and this was in season 1. This is a team where when they started sending teams to their hometowns and had teams travel before COVID hit, the homeowners association for the house that they moved into kicked them out because they didn't want them there, and their luggage was lost on the way to their very first match. Like, this is a team that has had setback after setback, some of them on the playing field and some of them just life kicking them in the teeth. And here we are, number 3 team in NA, poised to take this. Again, there's no weak teams here. Every team coming into this has a reason to take it, and every team coming into this has a history. So whether it's back-to-back champions or the London Spitfire wanting to bookend it, because again, this might be our last season. Talk about the bookend narrative. Or a number of teams wanting to take their first championship ever after struggling and rebuilding their teams and going nuts trying to get here. Like, playoffs is going to be absolutely bonkers. I will be flat out amazed if we wind up with any 3-0 matches. I am expecting a ton of map fives. I am expecting banger after banger. I am expecting to get my heart broken at least once. And it is a double elimination tournament, so your first loss is not your only loss. So, yeah, I'm going to be really emotionally compromised next week, but that's okay because this is my sport and I love it. So, join me for the playoffs, friends. I would say I'll assign you a team to root for, but if I'm assigning you a team to root for, it's going to be the Outlaws. Full stop. We pull in, friends. Ante up.
I want to look over the chat real quick. We got Gig Derek says, greetings, humans. Greetings. Hello.
Yo.
We got John Knight says, hello, ladies. Hello.
What's up, fam?
Yes. All right. So now, speaking of things getting more wild, and are we near the end? But not really, but kind of. And like, what? We got Reign of the Seven Spellblades. We are covering the most recent episode, which is episode 11.
Yes.
Do no spoilers if you've read it or anything else. So only this episode. Yes. And yeah. So okay, one little thing. I'm a little bit like, really, okay, we fought you, bad guy, and now we friends. Like, you just tried to kill us, and it's cool. We cool.
I think that's kind of how you have to do it at this school. Because if you had a grudge against everyone who tried to murder your ass, like, you would have no friends by the end of it.
Yes. It still feels a little bit like, really? We're not a little bit like, hey, I don't know if I trust him. He just tried to kill us. Like, no, it's cool. Power friendship.
I'm mostly just sitting here going, who is this guy? Who is this guy? And why do we care? And like, it just, I wasn't really impressed with most of this episode. The only part of this episode where I was like, yo, was the after credits like 2.5 minutes? That
was a long sequence.
That was they rolled credits early to do that one. It's like, okay, Crunchyroll's not trying to cue a different show, so there's got to be a credit scene. Oh my god. Yeah, I'm going to talk a little bit about what's Stace.
It per our English eyes and ears, I'd read it as Stace. But the way Faye says it, it's like, doesn't sound like that. But let's just go. We'll go with Stace.
Stacy. Game Grumps.
I don't hear the E because it's more like. I don't
know.
No,
I'm making a Game Grumps reference there. But yeah, I appreciate what we got from her. I appreciate the explanation and that we are able to look at how she was acting before and go, okay, that's what the comment about her real dad means. Okay, that's why she was so mad at Pete for upstaging her in the I've read your books contest. Like, it all makes sense now. Like, oh, she's a fairly abandoned child. Okay. Yikes.
And also the let me fertilize the rest of my family in case my other children die.
I understand having kind of the heir and the spare, as it were. It's again, this is one of those nobility traditions. Like, this is kind of the culture in the world that they've set up, which is like, I get it in terms of this is my bloodline and the bloodline is important and the bloodline must continue. And, you know, if you send your kid off to murder school and they become one of the 20% of fatalities, you gotta have a backup. So the bloodline continues.
Yep.
This is so fucked up. We're watching a hell of a show. As absolutely buck wild as this is, I really do love all of the glimpses into the world building that we get. Like, we see so much of it with the demi-human rights organization and movement, but also just this is how the different families function. This is how they approach things. This is how, because,
Mhm.
we have Chella and she's relatively well adjusted, it seems. And then you look at the outer parts of her family and you look at her dad, who is also participating in this sort of thing. And like, yeah, they're sisters, but they're not allowed to call each other sisters. But also, like, she's kind of been abandoned by her own dad. And it's a super messed up family dynamic. So it's like she came out well adjusted and she seems like the exception to the rule.
And she's hiding that she's part
Elf,
elf.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which I guess is a thing.
Yeah.
When we've introduced so many fantasy creatures as demi-human, it kind of makes me wonder, like, where do elves fall on
True.
all of this?
Yeah.
All of this. Are we
Well,
going full fae and they like live in a different realm and occasionally pop over the human realm to be like, sup mortals? Or like, how does this even work? Trying to figure out all these other rules, and now you've got this?
And it's weird enough that she hides it too. Like, it means it's not totally a normal or whatever thing because she hides it and she's like, I've only shown it to family.
Oh, it would make her a target. Full stop.
Yeah, that too.
And just she has innate power, but she doesn't want to rely on it because otherwise you don't learn. Like, that is a fantastic philosophy, honestly. Yes. Again, Chella for MVP.
Yes.
But also, dang, there is so much going on in the Goldilocks family.
Yes. Well, I really appreciated too. I mean, Chella is generally our MVP, but I like the kind of off the wall thinking and approach that Nanau has, and as a way to connect with Stace in terms of no, I want you to be your own individual, but just how she says it can come across as a bit harsh, but you're like, it totally makes sense. And only with her sincerity is she able to say the things she says. And it really gets through to people, which is nice. Cause then it's like, oh, I haven't thought of it that way. You're right. And so I like that kind of person in the loop of, hey, different way of thinking. It's like, yay.
That is the shonen protagonist quality.
Yes.
In Nanau. Like, if this was from Nanau's point of view, this show would be so different.
Yeah.
But it's from Oliver's, and we got a murder cult, which we've just kind of put a pin in, I guess. So just pin the murder cult there. It's fine. But yeah, this is very much the shonen protagonist thing. And like, you can chalk it up to Nanau is from an extremely different culture. She doesn't get this whole like nobility thing that they have going on and keeping the bloodline going and having a spare kid in case. And just like, I would imagine that she sees it very much as like, oh, like you would replace her fully, not just as the heir of the family, but like step into her role for everything. And her going, no, that doesn't make sense. You're not the same people. You're not the same. So I do appreciate that approach. Like, that is we were enemies and now we're friends that I will buy, given the history between Stace and Chella, and given that Nanau is just like that.
And that she kept the flowers. We get a little bit of tsundere with Stace of like, we didn't have to keep it. I'll make you a new one. I'm like, aw.
I was expecting it to be like some little thing. She pulls a whole flower crown out.
I keep it
where were you keeping that?
At all times, yes.
Where were you keeping that?
Yeah.
I can't stick a cell phone in my shirt without it leaving an outline. Where were you keeping a flower crown?
They have their giant jackets. Maybe they have inside pockets, you know?
That big?
Yes.
Sure.
It's a TARDIS. They have
they have doctor pockets.
Yes, they do.
They have doctor pockets.
I think, and as to what you said, I think it is true. And like, I would buy that relationship thing because that's hey, let me tell you how I've always thought of things and you probably didn't know I thought that way. Oh my gosh, you thought that way? I did not know. And then it's like, oh, things make way more sense versus like, why don't you just get along with me?
Yeah. And also I haven't seen you in like, since we were 12. Is that 3 years? Is it 5? How many years does it show? Are you going to tell us?
No, I did not. Good
that
point.
One bit of world building where they're like, we're not going to give you the ages. Like, you give us all these family backstories and you won't tell us how old they are at this in school? Well, seriously?
Oh, will be at least a few years. She's
I
at
hate
least
it.
15, I think.
Yeah, at least, yeah. But like, are
Yeah.
they 15? Are they 17? Are they like anime children, or are they meant to be more like children? Like,
yes.
because I'm like, anime kids. Yeah, everyone in Naruto is 11 when they start. Like, sure, anime
Yeah,
teenagers.
Sure.
That's
Well, that's
there's
like
there's a
Sailor
different metric.
Moon. I thought they were all in high school, and they're like, no, it's actually middle school. And I'm like, they look like they're in high school to me as a middle school kid. When I watched, I'm like, what?
Yeah.
No.
Again, the anime protagonist age ranges hit different. It just functions different. That's all.
I'd say the Amazing Spider-Man TV show did that too. Like they were portrayed as high school. I'm like, they look like they're in college. No way.
Oh yeah. Now,
yeah.
yeah.
What else on that? We do get to see a little bit of Oliver isn't the bestest at everything.
Yeah.
With the fight,
he is a freshman.
Nice. Yeah. And it was refreshing for him not to be like perfect and him recognizing that. But let's just continue to get stronger and we'll do a redo on this later on.
Yeah, because again, my dude is a cult leader.
Yeah.
I think he kind of understands, like, you don't want to burn bridges when there's use later. Or also, these are people who might have same or similar trauma to me. And I just...
True.
The bees. Not the bees. The bees. There was a lot of Nicolas Cage in our house when the giant bee showed up. We were this was a weird episode. I had some trouble with this episode.
Okay.
I had some trouble with it. It was not...
Come on, we get to throw away a line of like, Katie noticed the ceiling. It was covered in like honeycombs and it was bees. What? Okay.
We did have a bit in the previous episode where the clouds cleared at one point and she was like, the ceiling. Like, she was doing the thing.
I think I missed that. Or I don't remember that.
It was throwaway.
Okay.
Because it was like, oh, the ceiling. And we're like, okay. And then they started fighting and they just ignored the ceiling.
Gigadare goes, and then there's this a-hole with the bees. Yes. It was like, what the heck? I liked his backstory, but it didn't mean I liked him. You know,
I loved how just completely insane it was so extreme. You lose one chess match to your buddy, the servant girl, and not only do you get straight up physically tortured for half a day, but also they're just saying like, oh, they got rid of her entire family. And I'm like, that could mean that they sent them away. It could also mean that they McMurdered all of them. And I kind of think they McMurdered all of them.
I think so too.
Like, what?
Yep. Let's stay away from this
boy,
family.
That escalated quickly. I mean, that really got out of hand.
Yep.
So like,
really?
I get why he's like that, but then you also kind of have to sit here and go like, so this guy inserted himself into this 2-on-2 fight and made it a 3-on-3, claimed fighting Nanao, wound up fighting Oliver because Oliver flipped it on his head, and then Oliver's like, you should fight Nanao sometime, and it's like, well, gee, buddy, that was the plan. But also just like, well, I inserted myself in this fight and then I lost. So I just have to make it so this fight never happened. I'm like, you didn't have to pick it in the first place. You could have just picked a fight with Nanao on her own at a later date. Yeah. But no, you made your own problems. And then you made them everyone else's problem. This fucking guy, I swear.
And yeah, there wasn't anything about him as the adult or the teenager or whatever that I'm like, like him as a kid, I like that story. I'm like, okay, cool, I'm on board. And I'm like, wow, okay. I just don't like you.
You can't give a guy... The Shadow the Hedgehog color scheme is not going to make me like him without a Shadow the Hedgehog backstory, you guys. And you failed at that.
Yep. I was like, nope.
Just... I didn't care.
Like, yeah, Gigadare goes, the most extreme level of flipping the board over because you're losing the game. Yes. Like, I mean,
to be fair, he was taught that at a very young age with pain and murder. Yeah. So, on the one hand, I can't blame him for holding on to that because it was kind of carved into his brain. On the other hand, I'm not interested in him as a character. This was a nice little cul-de-sac. He came out of nowhere. He's going into nowhere. And if this show asks me to care about him, they're going to have to do so much legwork for that. Whereas I care about Stace and Faye because we've seen them for a while. We got a small IV drip of their backstory, so it wasn't like, here it is. It's just... It was kind of goofus and gallant in terms of revealing backstories and making us like people we'd been fighting 5 minutes ago, you know?
Well, it also just is another one of the cases where the show isn't really introducing us to characters per se, like regular classmates. So we get these random people that we're like, where the fuck did you come from? Like, who is this? And we don't care. And or can we get a little bit of along the way, like sprinkling along? Like we've had some of the professors, so that'll make it interesting when like they get to fighting them. But all these other people, it's like,
well, we've had Stace and Faye for the past like 4 or 5 episodes.
And them, so no, they're okay.
They've been around.
But they're family too. So, but I mean these random students that you're like,
oh yeah.
Why do you what is happening? Yeah.
It's very much, and then there's this asshole. Like,
yes.
Great. Why do I like when we had this earlier, like the first time they wound up in the labyrinth because Pete forgot his book, et cetera, whatever. And we had this completely random fight between the 2 5th-year students. Like that I bought. I buy that these kids randomly walked in on this. Like, they walked in on this 5th-year student. It was like, oh, that's bad. And those other 5th-year students showed up to fight her. And it's just like, I appreciate that this was the show going, no, this is the level of people who have been here for a while and honed their practices. Like this is where you could be later on. This is kids getting in way over their heads. So that is an out of villain of the week student. Yeah.
Yes, Giga
that's an out of nowhere that I buy.
I agree.
Our
that
hand, our hand-eye coordination student, our other, she starts with an M, don't remember. Her showing up out of nowhere, I get it. But they also built her for Milligan. Thank you. But they also built her for a little bit. And then we had the big fight. And then we kept her. She didn't just go off into the shadow realm. She's still at the school.
Yeah.
So, like, the show has done it right a number of times. They just did it real wrong with this guy. Like, this dude that and like we had it with our previous fight with the guy who was really prideful and didn't want to do any learning schools of swordsmanship. He was just doing stuff himself. But he was charismatic.
Yeah.
He was charismatic and I cared about him.
Yes.
Like there was enough raw charisma in that character and enough just crazy give a damn to make me as an audience member go, oh no, he's fun. Oh, I like this. He's fun. Whereas this other guy's just like, you're not part of the story. Why are you here?
Yeah.
Because that really was it. There was, that other guy was his own story. This guy's just like, and I'm here too, to make everything worse.
I was going to say, speaking of people we care about, so at the end, we get all our people pulled away that I thought, is it a dream? This feels really weird. And sudden, but then it makes sense of how dangerous the place is. And then they go back to the school and actually a whole bunch of other people have been taken too.
17 kids.
Okay.
All of them boys from the looks of it.
Good. What is our succubus? So that makes sense. But then is Pete going to be the weird wild card in terms of where is Pete right now on
with the reverse
presentation?
Thing.
Yeah. And so did the succubus take Pete thinking,
well, no one outside the friends. No one outside the friend circle knows.
Yeah.
And he's been he's been presenting male because that's like he's a boy. Just his body has decided to flip a coin. But when she saw him, it's, oh yeah, Pete, that's a boy. I know that one. Let's go. So we'll she's working with a slightly out of date data set, but
yeah, that's fair. That's wait, what? And also that they say she's been
lost to the spell.
There we go. Consumed by the spell. Yep.
Yeah, because my brain keeps going lost in the sauce. I'm like, well, that's not quite what it is, but that's what
it kind of a little bit like she's definitely being weird and
it's almost sounding it's almost sounding like it's a conscious choice. Like that little bit of talking that we got from her was not
Mhm.
yet. I still need to keep my wits
Mhm.
about me. Like it sounds like this is planned almost. And it makes me wonder how many of these students just get to this point where they're like, all right, I guess I need to throw all in order to be able to do something new or to pursue what I want. And then that's what they term as getting lost in the spell because that just, it's too much. It is not entirely formed teenage brains making bad decisions.
Yeah, that could be it too. Like maybe you have a little bit of control over it. Like
Yeah.
you make that decision of like, all right, now's the time. Hold on, wait. But it's like also who are you talking to? Uh the
Herself.
universe, the magic, yourself,
Yeah.
essence of magic or the space even, you know.
Yeah.
We don't really
I mean,
know.
we all kind of go, come on, come on, come on, or just like stay there
Mm,
to an inanimate. Like
yeah.
people talk to themselves anyway.
Yes.
Like we need to relay information to the audience. It wouldn't surprise me if she's just talking to herself and going, okay, can't do that yet. Gotta do this first. Not
Yep.
yet.
Was there anything else that stood out to you? I feel those were the
Again, just the fact that she grabbed all boys.
yes.
I was like, yeah, yeah. And then they were like, yes, she has succubus blood. Like, all right, okay. Very much like, hey, audience, remember her? I'm like, all right, I need weird necromancer bone dude to show up and fight her again. He's in the opening twice. He disappeared after one episode. Bring that weirdo back. Let's go.
Yeah, or that it's random people introduced, or other people are like, wait, where are they? Can they come back?
Yeah.
So,
Again,
we'll
he's
see.
in the opening twice.
Yeah.
Like, just bring. I hesitate to call him this because it's going to be bad. Bring Bone Daddy back.
Bone Daddy?
Just bring him
That's all
back.
right.
Just bring him back.
I was gonna say boner, but
Boney
you know.
McGee. That's worse.
What? I know. That's why I was
bring
like,
the boner back. Fucking what? Yeah. And again, just the whole, oh yeah, we figured out from the monsters that it's her. And I'm like, I'm sorry, did you autopsy a monster to find out that she birthed it? Or did you just kind of look at it and go,
oh, yeah.
because that's how she gets monsters. I'm like, oh, there's a lot of them.
Yeah.
Oh, that seems like it hurts. Oh,
That's a good
friend.
question. Yeah.
Oh, friend, are you okay? Do you need a doctor? Yikes.
Yeah.
Very, very Melisandre. Please stop.
You're like, oh gosh, no.
Again, we are watching one hell of a show.
It just keeps getting weirder, and we're at that like getting
Just
that
keeps
crest of
getting
we're almost there, and I'm
weirder.
like, what? Yeah, but I'm here for it so much.
A kid got tortured for half a day for losing a chess match, and they immolated his opponent's entire family. And that was not the weirdest thing that happened this episode. It was that whole thing was kind of a wet fart, and then the last 2 minutes after the break were like, "Yo, now it's interesting."
It was, yeah. So we shall see what comes up next. Let's know. Oh, yeah. Let's see. Yeah, bring the boner guy back to fight the demonic womb lady. Yes.
Yikes! 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 Yikes!
Yeah. So let us know your thoughts on this episode. What did you feel on it? Let us know. Leave comments. All right.
These are the stakes I'm looking for. When I made a comment about how going into this, like high school stakes didn't really feel like it when we had murder cult stakes.
Yep.
This might well thread the needle, thread the needle for that. Might well just right in between. Doesn't have to be the murder cult. I think that's our long game, but a little more important than, and we're fighting because we're kids in a tournament. Like, okay, stakes, but not murder cult stakes.
Yeah.
We found the happy medium. I'm here for it. I think that's why I was so excited for the last 2 minutes, and these past few episodes have just been like, this is nice. This is, it's fine. It's fine. Oh, everyone's been kidnapped by Melisandre. All right, I'm back in.
It definitely escalated quickly, and
it really got out of hand.
Yes. All right. So now we will talk about some other stuff, books, movies, games, whatever that you should check out. Hold on, as I look at the chat real quick too. Yeah, Giga Derek said this episode certainly was a trip. Yes, indeed.
It was like You know how when you do a log ride and it's mostly just kind of vibing in most of it's
Ah,
just going
and
through
then
the story bits and seeing the animatronics, and at the very end it does this.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
good description. I like that. Yeah.
I'm sure most people are picturing like Splash Mountain or whatever their local one is, and my brain's
Yeah.
like, yes, the Paul Bunyan log flume. That's
I was
still
like,
it's still in the Mall of America.
okay, okay. I
The
was like,
Mall of America has an amusement park, and it got taken out. It used to be Snoopy. It used to be Snoopy Land. It used to be Peanut. Put up the tangent corner. Put up the tangent corner. We're going into nostalgia here.
boom.
We're going to
Okay.
talk about the Mall of America in the mid '90s. Uh, for those going, the hell are you talking about? The Mall of America is, I believe, the United States' largest indoor shopping center. It's stupid huge. It just it's insane. It has wedding chapels, it has a bowling alley, it has just all sorts of stuff, huge flagship stores. And smack in the middle of it is a miniature amusement park. And by miniature, I mean it's got a roller coaster, it's got a log flume, it's got one of those 3D things, it's got a bunch of kiddie rides and a bunch of bigger rides. Like you could easily spend half a day to a day in there, depending on how you allocate your time and whether or not you like to repeat rides. It was taken over by Nickelodeon, I want to say in the mid 2000s. So everything is like SpongeBob and Ninja Turtles and like Nickelodeon licenses. But before that, it was Camp Snoopy and it was all
I was
Peanuts
gonna say
themed.
before Knott's got those rights.
Oh no. No, it
Oh,
was
okay.
Camp Snoopy anyway.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it was its own thing. It'd been there for a
Yeah.
while. Yeah, no, I think concurrent to Knott. I don't know when Knott's got those rights,
Yeah, I don't
honestly.
know. That's a good question.
Yeah, but it was Camp Snoopy for a good long while. But the log flume, which has just resisted any and all attempts to rebrand, is the Paul Bunyan log flume. And that's, you know, American American folklore, as it were.
What is
I don't know if our entire audience is American, and American folklore kind of gets a little wild sometimes, not to be
yes.
confused with American cryptids. But Paul Bunyan was a logger who was like, what, 60 feet tall? He was
Yep.
just a real big dude with a real big axe and a real
Yep.
big ox named Babe. Babe was huge
And it was a
and
blue
also
ox.
blue. Yes,
Yes. Do you
because
remember
he found
this
her when she
movie?
was
Tall Tale.
I remember Tall Tale.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. So for those of you who don't know, this is a movie in 1995, Disney movie. Yep. Legendary American folk heroes come to life. And it's a
Pecos
fun one.
Bill, John Henry, Paul
Yep.
Bunyan,
Calamity Jane.
Calamity Jane, Johnny
It's a fun.
Appleseed. Yes, no, probably
Maybe
not in
makes an
this.
appearance. It's not in the like main description, but
Yeah,
maybe. It's a fun one, like, or at least in 1995, it was
in
fun.
1995, it sure was a fun one. It might not hold up. A lot of stuff
Yay!
made in the 90s is like, we thought it was okay then. It turns out it's really not okay and never has been. We were just wrong about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, the log ride in the Mall of America is the Paul Bunyan log flume, and it's
All
basically
right.
just the life of Paul Bunyan. And then at the end, like right before the fall, it is a giant Paul Bunyan animatronic and a giant Babe animatronic, and you're like,
That's funny.
oh, that guy's huge, and then you go over the edge. So yeah, my
Nice.
nostalgic log flume ride is
Nice.
not Splash Mountain. It's not anything at any Six Flags park. It is the Paul Bunyan log flume in the Mall of America in Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Minnesota.
Go figure. There's
Hey, that's cool. There you go. More engagement question. What is one of your favorite rides from your childhood? Leave a comment down below.
Give us your nostalgia. Give us your, if you had like a local amusement park or just the carnival that would come through every once in a while. I will still ride a Tilt-A-Whirl every chance I get. I love the Tilt-A-Whirl.
The Giant Dipper at Santa Cruz Boardwalk, because depending on how big or small you are, you can slip out of where the barricade thing is over your lap. And so that was fun to be like, wee! on purpose when you knew where
Safe?
you could go?
No. Fun?
No.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. All right.
So
there we go. Other stuff you should check out. I'm still in the middle of the movie, so I haven't really watched anything new. I'm still watching Ghosts here and there. I find that just a fun, easy thing to watch, and still loved the One Piece show that we raved about that last week. So if you haven't caught that one, check it out. Ahsoka is still awesome as well if you haven't watched that show, and that's kind of it for me.
It doesn't have to be new. Give us a classic.
This is true. I was like, finally, there we go. I put up DVDs over here. And I'm like, yay! And then books on this side, yay! No, but I like new stuff like that. Something that was on my mind. That I'm like, no, that's fine. I was looking for like, coming up. I'm excited about because I don't know if it's any good, but I think it's going to be a Disney. Speaking of Disney, there's going to be a new Goosebumps TV show, and it looked cool. I mean, I don't know how it's going to play out. Yes, it's a new. It looks like it's a show. It might be a movie. I hope it's a show, like broken up over a few episodes. But it looks like they're just kind of sprinkling the different books in there. And the quality looks really nice. And it looks fun. And they kind of have a story to kind of tie everything together. So I'm kind of really curious on how that's going to play out.
Because we had the nostalgic series. And we had the 2 movies. That had Jack Black as R.L. Stein, which was honestly amazing.
Those were fun. I like those. Those were great.
Those were a good time.
Yeah. And I was going to say, you cannot tell at all, but there's like this side. There we go. About 2. Yeah, it's like 2.5 shelves. I have the classic Goosebumps, the whole collection.
Dang!
So held on to those.
That is a jewel of a collection.
Right? And then I actually, for a little bit, I'm like mini tangent corner. I actually had duplicates of almost half of it for whatever reason. And then I sold them to the bookstore because I was like, well, this is incomplete. Let me complete my set. And then here are extras.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to the show. Quality looks good. Speaking of spooky vibe and nostalgia, another one, I think I've talked about it on here before, but throwing back, the newer Nickelodeon Are You Afraid of the Dark series. It's streaming. I think it's on YouTube actually. It's actually really good. I think they did a nice job of a way to update it, of like, this is a new group of kids, and like magic and ghosty stuff do exist, which I like that. Yeah. But yes.
Yeah. Yes.
All right. And Giga Derek says, every time a new episode drops, I'll always recommend Hell of a Boss.
We did get a new episode recently. It made me cry. It was great.
And speaking of that, you should go check out here on our channel. We interviewed one of the voice actresses, Morgana Ignis. And so you should check that out here on it's on the Comic-Con and it's on the voice actor playlist. So if you're a fan of Hell of a Boss, she is one of the voices.
Yes. I also did not do a lot of new media because life is very busy and weird and crazy. Yeah. I didn't do a lot of new media because life. You guys, it's just the same YouTube channels. I will continue to recommend Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles because that is where my brainworms are, and it brought me much joy. Mm-hmm. And if you're a horror person, it definitely does some spooky stuff sometimes. We had a slasher movie episode and a creature feature episode back to back, actually, which was we had a ghost episode and a creature feature episode back to back at one point, which was hysterical to me. Yeah. So we'll always continue to recommend that. And again, happy 8th anniversary to Undertale, which if you're not much of a gamer, I recommend consuming it anyway, because this game kind of rewired my brain a little bit when it dropped. Undertale is an 8-bit style game made by Toby Fox, and it essentially puts the turn-based battle RPG system on its head, because the idea is, what if you never had to actually fight a monster? What if you had your monster encounter and you could fix it some other way? You could tell jokes, you could help them, you could talk with them, you could listen to them sing and they'd be happy. You could, like, if there were other ways to do conflict resolution that weren't just straight violence.
That's cool.
So Undertale sees you as a human who has fallen into the underground, where humans sealed monsters after a war years and years and years ago. And sees you going through this monster civilization and meeting people and picking up backstory as to how they got here, how are things going, what's going on behind the scenes, what are they trying to do? Because they're trying to get out, and it's a very long process, but they're also people in their own right. And it's also very much a game where the choices you make influence the gameplay and influence the ending. Like, it has 3 major endings, but within those major endings, it has multiple different ones.
Nice.
So there's essentially the good end and the bad end, and those are 2 of the big ones. The neutral end, the one that you get regardless the first time you play, is there are so many different variations on it depending on what you do, how you approach characters, how you do like, it's so good, and it has a lot to say about how people interact with media, your role in a story, how you as a player and a consumer of this story approach the story itself and approach the characters. It's very hard to explain it without going into spoilers, but it is incredibly good. The shirt that I'm wearing, the character is Nabstabluk, and he is a ghost who likes music and has just debilitating anxiety, but he's also a total sweetheart. Like, he's just a baby. We love him. We love Nabstabluk. He's fun. And it's so easy. There's such a slew of characters with all of these vibrant personalities and the way they interact with each other and the way they interact with you, the player character. Just, it's so easy to go, that's my favorite. Wait, no, that's my favorite. Wait, no, that one though. And the music is phenomenal. The music, I have 20-minute mixes of some of these songs where I will just put it on and vibe. It is frankly incredible.
Where and how do you play?
It's available on Steam. They also released a Switch port. And if you are not much of a player, if you don't have time, if you don't like video games, it is kind of a bullet hell video game. So if the reflexes aren't there, it can be a little difficult sometimes. I say as someone who's not great at it, I would recommend getting a good walkthrough or a good Let's Play. The Jacksepticeye Let's Play is the one that I watched, and it is so good. He does voices. He gets really into it. Like, Jax is very good. Nice. Game Grumps also have a playthrough that they did, and they just edited down some of the extraneous bits, like kind of they're just going off and doing things. So their playthrough has been edited into a like 5.5 hour video on their YouTube if you want to just have one thing where you can click it on and go. So those would be the ones I recommend. Cool. They're solid playthroughs.
All right.
But yeah, definitely consume Undertale in some capacity. It is incredible. It's so good.
I'm just leaning over so y'all can see where this barking and noise is coming from.
I see your pupper.
Fizz. Hi. Yeah, you. She's like, I gotta let
now
everybody
that you're
know.
saying hi, I have nothing to say.
Yeah, she's like, I gotta let everybody know there's people outside. Grr. Yes, you. Anyway, thank you all for tuning in to another episode of Nighttime at the Nerd Bar. Happy to have you all here on this Monday night, Monday energy. But if you're watching this at any other time, awesome, welcome. We love you. And Katie, where can people find you online?
You can follow me all over social media, as well as on YouTube and Twitch at Kiaxet. That is Kiaxet. If you like reaction videos, commentaries, etc., they live on that YouTube channel. I am also half of Silver Screams, which is a horror channel that I do with my roommate. We do reactions, we do commentaries, we do all sorts of fun stuff there. That's the one that I'd have you check out at this point, because we are going into spoopy season. So with any luck, there will be things we can talk about, especially since we're getting more horror movies and we're going to have more trailers. We're going to have all sorts of fun stuff on there. So yes, check them both out. We have fun here.
Yes. And y'all can find me online at Carrie D Lane. That's Karidlane. And on probably, I know they're on my TikTok, but I think I moved them over on Instagram. I do have recommendations for other random movies, as well as some spooky movies if you're in the mood for that, and other such content, entertaining, fun stuff with this loud one. There we go. That's way. Yes. And more and fun hair video things and all that. So yes, please check us out online, as well as NTATNB over on Twitter. And don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel on here. And
hit all of those fun little buttons, because the YouTube algorithm is scarier than anything you're going to see on the screen in the next 2 months.
Yes. And so love to have you all here, and follow us online, and we'll be seeing you next week. Bye.
Bye.